is the person that wrote the report, is the person that should come and present it, and you weren't elected by anybody, and you're here.
If you want to know the one thing that anyone will ever see in regards to this sham impeachment, aside from the fact that just like it was a one-sided rigged election, now this was a one-sided rigged sham impeachment from the beginning, where now they have two articles of impeachment, neither of which are high crimes. Is anybody at the point of actual embarrassment at this point? Is there no shame? I hate to say it, but is there anything sadder? Yeah, sadler is Nadler. That's exactly how you should feel about it. As Burke, who gets to be a witness, he gets to be the prosecutor, and he gets to fucking work Nadler's gavel like Weekend at Bernie's. When Nadler's not sleeping, when he's not in the middle of a nap where drool is coming off his nearly dead lip and hitting his own sleeve in the saddest way possible. And we've all had elderly folks in our lives go, and it is sad to watch. But it's worse to watch your rights get thrown away because one side hates one guy so bad they're willing to throw it all out just to get one single win. And here you are. 2 impeachment, neither of these articles are high crime. Neither one of them. Where's the bribery? Where's the extortion? Where's the quid pro quo? Where's the whistleblower? What, getting named Timed Person of the Year? Show your work. Isn't that what we just learned from the Horowitz report? You know what I learned for the past 3 years? That if you said that the Trump campaign was illegally spied on, they gave you the cuckoo noise and they said that you were a conspiracy theorist, folks. And now we know, like we always knew, because you were reading the actual documents that were being released. Not someone's spin on it, not someone's worst guess or projection out against an enemy, which is exactly the one thing that has been going on this entire time. And if it's NBC's interview with Barr today, he sat down, I believe, with the Wall Street Journal. Both of them are on Facebook, and he'll tell you this was opened up in the thinnest of ways. Carter Page enters the campaign in March. They set up this investigation in April. In July, they started up, and they say that it's off an offhanded comment that Papadopoulos made to Downer. And that's enough to start, because folks, to start an investigation, just the hearsay thought of is enough to start an investigation with the FBI. Now, when they take it to the next level, when they go get a warrant, and they go get a warrant on a dossier that they know it's a politically motivated dossier paid for by a campaign full of unvetted information, and they use it as a basis of fact. And there are people who are going to argue and say that they didn't, but they obviously did. And they kept that information. They kept every bit of exculpatory information, be it the conversations they had with Downer, because this is what they do, folks. If they open in the investigation, be like, yo, you talked to this guy and they said this? No, he actually said this. It wasn't that. Oh, okay, so we shouldn't be looking at this guy. And then we have this guy look at this guy. We had this guy look at this guy. We had this guy look at this guy. All exculpatory information, but they plowed ahead. Now with the strength of the dossier. And what do they do? What do they do? Instead of, hey, there's Russian, we believe that there's Russian intrusion into your campaign, they would normally pull the campaign aside. And they would say, this potentially may be happening. This is something that you should be looking out for on behalf of the security of the United States of America. But no, what they did is the same gimmick and tactic they've been doing since the beginning. They don't go and talk to the Trump campaign. They pick up the phone and they say, hey, Russia, knock it off. Do you see their strong response and the narrative they've just created? Because that's how this works. You create a work of fiction. Goldstone's crime is in the email. They begin this with an accusation on Russia instead of handling this like every other situation like this has ever been handled. This was different. Every DOJ error, one way. Every FBI error, one way. Every mainstream media error, one way. 3 years, not a single mistake that is pro-Trump. Not one. What are the odds? At some point, you have to go, hey, by the time they're now renewing the FISA, after they know for a fact that the dossier shit the bed, and they still haven't put the other exculpatory information in there, and they're just getting renewals, when in January 2017, they knew that this whole case had shit the bed Freddie Jackson, and it was done, and they had nothing except the hope that maybe Mueller would find something. And so what we learn with the Horowitz report is that any loose basis can open an investigation. It's moving the investigation where you're getting warrants to be able to use this foreign surveillance court where everything should be above board. That's where all the mistakes happen. All the mistakes happen the same way. Remember, folks, the FBI, if they want to, can say that in your congressional testimony you lied and you will be going to prison for it. And that same FBI can lie in front of Congress and be shown to have lied in front of Congress in the Horowitz report that everyone is saying is right, and not a single one of them are doing any jail time. Is that enough of a macro to be shown what is happening in this country? We now learn today that you just don't show up in a foreign country. You don't show up fucking John Durham with his big ass biker goatee and give him the fucking what's what and tell me what the fuck's going on because I'm the big sheriff from America. That's not how this works. But you go over with Pompeo, you go over with Trump, you go over with Barr, and the three of them or the two of them, whoever's there, you go over on Air Force One, then you say, hey, I'm here, and this guy's here, and this guy's here. This means this is important, but we're going to have a conversation with you. How exactly does this work in your government? What do you allow? This is what we're working on, and it's very above board because guess what, folks? If you skip ahead to this plot in the story and keep doubling down on the investigation and the investigation, then Durham's report's going to come out and it's going to have indictments. And those indictments are going to actually get, processed, and there's going to be crimes found and people are going to be convicted and the sentences will be laid out. And there's going to be another special prosecutor that look at Durham's report and Durham's investigation and Horowitz's investigation and Mueller's investigation. And by then Trump's going to be in his third term. And we're going to still be talking about this one gimmick where they start with the accusation in mind. Remember, when you see the first three pieces of quid pro quo, it's the left injecting it into the conversation. So are you saying that? Quid pro quo? No, we're not. Are you sure you're not saying that quid pro quo? No, we're not. Just to be sure. No quid pro quo? Here's the answer back. Boom, no quid pro quo because they had caught him. They had caught them in this coup. They had salted them with bullshit information. And how dare Adam Schiff publish someone's phone records, someone's name attached just to slander them, folks. There's going to be civil lawsuits all over this landscape for media companies that willingly and knowingly pushed a coup for the United States of America. And it's all going to come out, okay? And Durham's going to have his say, and people are going to be in real trouble. And it has started. And if you want to see the ground zero of all of this, the first time you ever hear Guccifer and the Russians attached to the hacking of the DNC, inside of that Esquire article is a twist of the story where all of a sudden the analyst who discovers what's happening believes that the people that he's watching are changing the way they act because they know he's watching. And if we know about narrative building, we know how they're lying in all of this, and they start with an accusation and they start with building a hero. And that's how you know this stinks. It's attached to the hack that they did on themselves via CrowdStrike inside of those cyber training games, and they got caught. And this plot was hatched in January 2016. They get the FISA in July. By January 17, it shits the bed, and they update the FISA, and they've been caught. And that's it. And now you can't spin an actual conviction. You can't spin what's happening in a Ukraine court or Ukraine court of public opinion. And it's outside of the mainstream media, folks. God bless America. Keep your head on a swivel.